Good stuff. Right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Chapel FM. Thanks for everyone who's come, and thank you to everyone who's hopefully watching the live stream at home. So this is on YouTube now. People who can't make it tonight. It's available there, and it'll be available afterwards if anybody wants to catch up on it then. Thanks for coming. Feels like it's been a long time coming for Swan Song, this, and I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I'm sure I'll settle down once I ramble for a little while. So this is like an information session is the idea. So we are looking to bring on some songwriters to work for Swan Song, and we wanted to give a bit more information about the charity, how it works, some of the realities of the role. There's a couple of roles we're actually looking for, so we wanted to kind of give a bit more information on them, and a chance for you to ask any questions you might have about it. Then we're going to share what the next stage of recruitment is going to be at the end. I'm hoping it's not going to take more than an hour, but we'll see how it goes. And we're going to have questions at the end, so if there's anything that you want to ask, save it to the end. We'll have plenty of time then. And same with people at home, if you've got any questions, feel free to put it in the comment box on YouTube, and we'll get to it at the end. So my name is Ben. I'm the founder and creative director of the Swan Song Project. We also have Fran, who's one of our trustees, and Geraldine is our partnerships and engagement manager. They're on call if I need them, if I get too nervous or anything. To come and take over, but we'll be fine, I'm sure. So we're going to start with a quick, brief summary of the Swan Song Project coming to where it is now. We've got a video to start with, actually. I went first, Elliot, I believe. Elliot's the tech wizard at the back. But we're going to start with a little video. Which you may have seen if you follow our social media anyway, but it's nice to watch it again. Isn't that nice? So that's the kind of Swan Song Project. Next slide, please, Elliot, when you get back to it. Swan Song Project I started in 2017, following the loss of my grandma. So I'd been a songwriter myself for a long time, and I was doing kind of community songwriting work, writing songs for people in different situations, lots of challenging situations. So I did a lot of work in mental health facilities and prisons and places like that. And then after my grandma died, I kind of regretted not recording her singing. She was an old Irish lady, and she used to love a good sing-song. And then I thought, imagine if I'd written a song with her, how nice that would have been. I never did it. And then it just occurred to me, I know how to write songs with people. I wonder if other people who are approaching the end of their lives might like a chance to write and record a song. And then I wrote to some local hospices. I had no idea how to start a project. I'd never done anything like before. But I just wrote a little letter to the hospices and said, this is what I'm thinking of doing. I think this is a good idea. Hi, man, come on in. And they all thought it was a good idea, so we started it's almost to the day. Is it 2 days away? Is it the anniversary? I think it's the 18th of May, 2017 was when I did my first sessions at the Marie Curie Hospice in Bradford. Have the next slide, please, Elliot. That man on the top was the first man I met. He was a man called Alan, and had motor neurons disease, and he wrote an amazing song for his wife. That was a complete surprise to her. He didn't tell her he was writing it. He just spent all these hours with me writing these amazing lyrics, and he sung it himself, and he gave it to her, and it was amazing. It's still available on the website if anyone wants to hear it. And that bottom one is a woman called Maureen who wrote a song called No Fears, No Worries, which was also a very beautiful song. We started at the Marie Curie Hospice in 2017. Then the next slide, please, Elliot. 2018, we started working at St. Gemma's. Hospice here in Leeds. 2019, we started working at Wheatfields, which is also here in Leeds. Top woman there is a woman called Anne, who wrote a song called The Warmth That Surrounds, that I thought was just like a really lovely message. And then, especially since she got a diagnosis, she said that she just felt like this warmth that surrounded her, of like how supportive all her friends and family and stuff were. It's a really beautiful song. The bottom one's a man called Paul, who wrote a song called The 49ers, which was about his walking group. Him and his friends all went hiking together regularly, and it was really important to him, and he wrote an anthem for them, which again he sung himself in the hospice dining room, that was. And we also started working with people who were receiving bereavement support, including pre-bereavement support. So first it was just people who were terminally ill themselves, and mainly originally it was earlier stages of terminal diagnosis. So like Alan and Maury in them first pictures, they wrote the songs, and then they lived for a good few years afterwards. The longer the project went on, we started working with people who were beyond the inpatient wards. So they're generally people who are a bit more, further down the line of the diagnosis, and sometimes, in the final weeks and months. Then we started working with bereavement support. Again, all just kind of worked quite naturally, came quite naturally. People just said, oh, there's someone here it was children at first. There was children who were getting bereavement support, or whose parent or grandparent was in the hospice, and they'd like to do a song. So we started doing that. That's become a really big part of what we do. Sometimes it's like people who are husband or wife or child of someone who's terminally ill. Sometimes it's immediately following a loss. Sometimes it's many years later, whenever the time is right for people. The next slide, please, Elliot. The vision of the Swan Song Project is quite a big one, and this feels like quite a big step as bringing our first batch of new songwriters in. But our vision is that everyone has the opportunity to write their swan song, that we believe everyone is capable of writing songs, everyone should write songs, and every family should have a song to remember their loved ones by. That's my kind of dream for it, is that, in 100 years' time, there's people sat around saying, have you heard my dad's song? Have you heard my granddad's song? And it's just kind of like a normal thing to do. People kind of write their will, and then they go and write their swan song. And we all have these lovely songs. Because it's not, we're not going to run out of space for songs. That's why I always think about with it. It's not like, we've got to need a big cupboard or something like that. We can just have as many as we want. And it's great. So we want to try and support as many people as possible to do that. So longer term, that will probably mean having branches across the country in some fashion, having a network of songwriters all over the place. We had an inquiry today from America of someone wanting to do a Swan Song project over there, which is a bit of a step away from where we are now, but maybe one day. So this is the first stage of that, really, of bringing in more songwriters and developing how we're going to train people and how it's going to work. Because to date it's been primarily just myself, and I'm hard enough to manage myself. So the idea of having a team is quite exciting, but challenging, perhaps. Next slide, please, Elliot. I thought we'd start with the values of the Swan Song Project, because that feels like a good place to start. And one of the things we've been thinking about with it is that, with the songwriters that we bring on, we're not training you how to write songs. The idea is that everyone who applies knows how to write songs, and the processes that I use might be different to the processes that you use, and that's completely fine. The idea is that and as you all know as being songwriters, that songs take very different paths all the time, and we're not going to be prescriptive of you've got to do it this way. But what we are going to be is you've got to do it by the values of the Swan Song Project. So you can work in whatever methods you want as long as you stick within the values. So the first one is that we're optimistic. So the Swan Song Project is an optimistic organisation. We believe that there are always opportunities to make situations a little bit better, and we work towards these opportunities. We're positive in our mindset towards what can be achieved both by ourselves and by the people we work with. We believe a certain amount of hardship is unavoidable in life, such as the death of a loved one, but that hardship shouldn't be made any worse than it needs to be. Efforts should be made to add joy and see light in all challenges. We encourage people to believe in the best of themselves and help support them towards that. For a lot of people we work with, the future looks bleak, scary, and uncertain, and we are here to help them cultivate a more positive view of that future, helping to create things for the person to look forward to and reasons to celebrate. We do not ignore or undermine the difficulties people face, and our optimism isn't naive or simplistic. It is a belief and a commitment to the value of moments of joy, no matter how small. We believe people are capable of dealing with incredible challenges and hardship. People show great courage and bravery in how they manage life's challenges, and sharing their experiences with others is an act of great generosity and kindness. That kind of explains what we mean by it. But yeah, it's very important that Swan Song is a positive presence in people's lives, and we don't make things any worse for people, and we always try and add a bit of sunshine when things are a bit difficult. We have the next slide, Elliot. And that comes in many fashions. Like the song itself is generally a very positive thing for people, but we're always looking for extra things to do. You know, if it's taking someone to a studio or doing a little performance somewhere and things like that, so we always kind of look to add a little moment to joy when we can. We're a creative organisation. Swan Song Project is a creative organisation and approaches all of its work with a creative and open mind. We look for creative solutions to problems and are unafraid to try new methods. We believe creativity is implicit in everyone, and there is great benefit in people accessing their creativity. These benefits can be for the individual taking part in the creative activity, for their own well-being, and also for any receivers of the creative output. Seeing or hearing someone express themselves inspires others to do the same and gives people more understanding of human experiences. It's a privilege for us to help people express themselves, and we believe there is great value in everyone's creative output. We believe nobody's creative output is inherently more valuable than anyone else's. Everyone has unique experiences and unique ways of expressing and communicating those experiences. You never know who might benefit from anyone's experience and how much benefit they may receive from it. Even if a song is only heard by one person, it's still incredibly valuable and can have a huge impact on that person's life. So again, it's pretty self-explanatory. We want to be a creative organisation, that our work is, you know, a creative art form. We aim to run that throughout the organisation. So obviously the core work is creative, but we want to be a creative organisation in the way we do everything. So that's something to bear in mind if you're working for us. And yeah, the bottom part is something that comes up a lot in session. People who've never written a song before often think, oh, I'm not creative and I'm not capable of doing anything like this. And that's the kind of thing we have to remind them a lot, is that their creative output is valuable. And sometimes when we finish a song with someone, we give them the option of the song can go on our website, but it also can be kept private. So some people do that, where the song's only heard by the person they've written it with and maybe one or two family members who they want to hear it. And that's, to us, that's just as valuable as a song that's been played millions of times. If the impact is, if it's written for one person, it might be that only that one person has to hear it, and that song's achieved its goal. Next slide, please, Elliot. Double whammy. Trustworthy is the first one. So the Swan Song Project is a trustworthy organisation. We do what we say we'll do and communicate honestly. We are reliable and can be trusted to work with people's best interests at heart. We respect people's privacy and wishes and never act in a way to compromise that. We deliver what we say we will and stick to timescales we give. When there are delays or problems affecting our ability to meet our commitments, we are honest and upfront about them. And the people we work with are often living with a lot of uncertainty, and we do not want to add to that. We appreciate that trust needs to be built and maintained. This informs everything we do, from face-to-face interactions to our social media and marketing. Again, explains it really, doesn't it? But going back to the optimistic thing, a lot of people we work with have enough difficulty going on, and we don't want to make anything worse, so we don't want to say we'll be somewhere and then not show up. And also, you're asking people to do something that requires a lot of trust. If you're going to, if you're songwriters, writing a song requires a certain amount of trust and feeling comfortable enough to express yourself. So we are asking people to do that. And again, if they don't trust us, they're not going to feel comfortable doing that. So it's important we're trustworthy and reliable in everything we do. Compassionate. The Swan Song Project treats everyone with compassion. We do not judge. We accept people where they are, listen to their experiences, and offer our support to try and make things better in whatever ways we can. We treat people with warmth, patience, and kindness. We respect the complexity of individual people's lives and situations. We never claim to know more about someone's situation than they do, and we always listen with the aim to understand rather than simply respond. Again, kind of makes sense, doesn't it, with the work, that you kind of have to be a bit compassionate with it and listen to people, and yeah. Next slide, please, Elliot. And authentic, this is the last of the values. The Swan Song Project is an authentic organisation. We operate in ways that are true to our values and our individual experiences. We are professional, but also real people who make genuine connections with the people we work with. We do not claim to be perfect, are open to admitting our mistakes and learning from them. We're happy to share our own challenges and that's written wrong, isn't it? And our sincere is what it's meant to say. That's Geraldine's fault. Not proofreading my writing enough. And are sincere in our conversations with others. We aim to be free of hypocrisy and walk our talk. we're asking the people that we work with to be their honest and authentic selves when writing a song with us, and we kind of ask them to do this whilst not being authentic ourselves. And I really like that quote at the bottom: when you show up authentically, you create the space for others to do the same. Yeah, it's really important, Swan Song, that people are, and it's, you know, obviously the work we do is challenging, and it's okay to admit that. That's one of the things that's really important for us and especially as we bring on new people, we don't want people to feel like, oh, if I'm talking to Ben, I need to say everything's great and everything's fine, because it's probably not going to always be like that, because the work is tough. And it's, yeah, I want everyone to feel like they can be completely authentic. If you found something hard, that's okay. And yeah, and getting comfortable with that. And again, yeah, I'm sure any of you have done co-writing stuff. Sometimes when you're writing a song with someone, it does reach a standstill. I've had many sessions where, like, and it's hard because you feel like, well, I'm facilitating this. I need to know what the next stage is. But sometimes you get to a bit in a song, you're like, I don't know what we're going to do next. And that's completely fine. I want the sessions, the aim is that they feel like any co-writing session in a way. It's not a teacher and a pupil. It's two people writing a song together. One may have more experience than the other, but it's the same dynamic that you would have with any co-writer. Next slide, please, Elliot. Let me whistle. So a few of the benefits of the Swan Song Project. Yeah, that's our slogan: celebrating lives, making memories, and leaving legacies. Celebrating lives, most of the songs are celebrations of people's lives. People always ask me if the songs are really sad, and I always say, like, I don't feel like I've really written a sad song yet. They're sad in context when you know the full story of what's going on, but the songs themselves are generally very positive, and yeah, are generally celebratory of people's lives. A lot of time people don't set out to write that, but when there's been some where they've set off thinking, like, oh, this song, like, I've had a hard life and I'm going to feel a bit sad about these things. But then when we've worked through it, they've been like, but actually, I've had these positive things as well, and that's what I want people to remember me by. So let's celebrate those things. Making memories was something I didn't anticipate when we set it up, of being such a benefit, but people started feeding that back of, like, when we were writing the song, those memories are really important to them, to the people who, the families who survive, but also to the people who pass away, that it gave them something that was really exciting and really joyful in an otherwise really difficult time. And then when I reflected back on it myself, when I think back to my grandma dying, like, it was really hard towards the end, but the most prominent memories are the ones when we were singing together. So, like, those positive memories can last a long time, and it can be really impactful in those difficult times, which again goes back to one of the things in the values about looking to add joy where we can. So if it's things like bringing in the studio headphones when you're recording and taking pictures of them, or, like, all these little things that, when you're a songwriter, you kind of take it for granted that you go to a studio and do that. But it's a really big experience to people who don't get to do that very often and might be big music fans. We had a guy recently who wrote a song with me over Zoom, lived in Bristol, and he got the train from Bristol to Leeds to come and record his song. And again, it was a big day out for him. He loves going to a studio, and something he'll remember for a long time. And leaving legacies, that's obviously quite self-explanatory, that the songs can live forever, can't they? And that's that's one of the things that's really important to a lot of the people who do it, is it's something that lives on in their legacy, and they're in complete control of that. Like, if they are worried people might forget certain elements of who they were, or, again, that's very common for people if they've got a long-lasting illness. They're worried people will forget who they were before their illness. The song's a great chance to remind them of who they are. So that happens a lot. Songs provide comfort for years to come. We've got a video coming up in a minute which is going to shine a light on that for a little bit, and gives listeners a better understanding of these difficult times. That was one of the things what I was a bit interested in when I started. I was like, what were people saying? Those, I had no idea what it was like to have a terminal diagnosis. So I was interested to see what people would say. So, like, again, we give people the option if they want the song sharing, but that's one of the things that a lot of people are interested in, what people say in these songs. Next slide, please, Elliot. So this is the next video. This one is a bit of a tearjerker, I'll warn you. So if you need a tissue or something.
Our first sort of connection with Swan Song, my husband Alyssa's daddy had cystic fibrosis, and he was in Marichiori Hospice. So he met Ben there. Sometimes Alyssa's struggles on a night time or if she can't sleep, and we'll say, well, we'll put Daddy's song on, and it just makes you happy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's it like listening to it, Lisa?
It's good.
What does it make you think about when you hear it?
Makes me feel happy.
I remember being at the hospice with Mum, and Mum saying that there was this guy who came round and it was going to help her record a song. And that's when I heard about it, really.
I think she wanted to leave a message for us. I think she chose the lyrics to sort of...
It's what she wanted to say, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what she wanted to say before she died, basically. I'd played it to my daughter quite a few times, and she didn't meet her grandma. There was literally just a day between it. But I really like the fact that I can play that to her.
Singing her song, it's like she's still there,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's like we're still including her.
Don't put off till tomorrow what you can enjoy today. Time is not to be wasted. It's better to seize the day. All our lives have a purpose, and happiness comes from within, with many things to learn. The mind is a powerful thing, and appreciate life as it happens. Enjoy them all as they come.
That was one we did fairly recently. And again, it was something that I was quite interested in when we started the project, was doing like longer term follow-ups. So that was, both of them were about 3 years after the songs were finished. And again, I hope that, in another 5 or 10 years, we're doing a lot more of those kind of videos, following up with families. I really love Lindsay and Louise's story. So they're quite a musical family. And so that always reminds me a bit of like, that's what I hoped with my grandmas, when they get together as a family, they always play some songs, and they always play the mum's song, which is what I always imagined we would have done if I'd done a song with my grandma. So I really like their story. It was really nice to keep in touch with them and know that they play it. Just a few quick quotes people have said about it. One woman said, "It's given a different perspective to saying goodbye. This song has been the best thing I've ever done to express my love and appreciation for my mum, and it kept me from weeks of worries and many scary events out of my control, and allowed me a place for me to connect to a part of me that still had some control." Next slide, please, Elliot. So, the roles that we're looking for. Core Songwriting Facilitators, which is a catchy title, isn't it? I think we need a cooler name for it. I'm not sure what it is yet, though. If anyone's got any suggestions, let me know. Affiliate artists and other group facilitators. So the core facilitators is the main one, really, but we're going to go through them all because some people might be better suited for one than another. Next slide, please, Elliot. So the core songwriting facilitators. So this is the one-to-one writing with people who are terminally ill or bereaved. The basics of it is you'll work with terminally ill and bereaved people to help them through every step of the songwriting process. So you'll meet with people. We're still working out some of the exact logistics of how it's going to work, but it might be that you attend a hospice at a regular time, meet people there. That's how it was in the early days, especially. That's what a lot of my time was. I was at the hospice and I'd just meet people. If they wanted to start a song, we'd start a song. Sometimes you'd get referrals from staff members and say, so-and-so wants to see you. Can you come say hello to them? Nowadays, we take referrals from lots of different places. So it might be that you just get an email from us and say, oh, there's somebody at this place who'd like to do a song. It might be that we also offer the service on Zoom now. Did I mention that? I can't remember if I said that or not. Again, during the pandemic, when everyone was making things on Zoom, we did it on Zoom. So now we offer people both if they're local, or even not so local, I guess. Depends how this team comes together, where people are based. We can do things in person, or we can do it over Zoom, or we can do a combination. Like I mentioned, that guy from Bristol, we wrote the song together over Zoom, but then when it was ready to record, he came to Leeds to record it. And then, yeah, it's meeting with people, and it's like, yeah, it's every step from like, sometimes you'll go in and people will like say, I'm thinking about it, I want to write a song for my kids, and I want to tell them this, and I want to tell them this, and I want it to sound like this. Sometimes people have no idea at all what they want to write about, and then you sit with them and you work that out. There will be some training that we're going to do before we send anyone out into the world. But yeah, it's every step of the way, and then it can be, oh yeah, I've written some of these other things down up here. I'm trying to make them off my head. So arranging sessions in Zoom or in person. We usually do an hour a week with people, but it varies. Again, if somebody's got a particularly short prognosis, sometimes it's like, let's try and get 2 in this week, 2 or 3 in. Sometimes people want to have a break and come back to it in a few weeks. Sometimes people can't manage an hour, or sometimes if they're having a good day and you're feeling good at an hour, sometimes we'll do a bit longer, but again, that's all just worked out as it goes. You need to be a positive and supportive presence for your co-writer. So this sounds like a bit of a weird one, but I think like that goes back to what we were saying about in some of the values, is that it's every interaction trying to be positive and trying to be a positive force in that person's life in the time you're in it, and not making anything worse. So again, not being bad at responding to things or being rude or anything like that. Utilize the affiliate artists when needed. So we'll say more about the affiliate artists in a minute, but they're basically, so yeah, to begin with, it was just me doing it all. So I do all the songwriting people and do all the composing. Then it started with a woman at Mary Curie Bradford who wanted her song sung in a woman's voice, and I was like, I can't do that. So then I gave one of my friends a ring and said, would you mind coming in and singing this song for us? And she was like, yeah, happy to. And that worked really well. And then, so that's we've kind of expanded on that over the years since. And in the pandemic especially, we did a lot more of that. So the aim is to have a big range of affiliate artists in very different styles. So then when a song gets to that stage, it's making that decision of like, am I the best person to compose this? Or should we get someone who's a specialist in that style? And yeah, so then what we do there is we provide lyrics and like a brief, which is like, so there's just a little bit of brief information about the kind of song we're looking at. I always ask people for a couple of reference songs. So like, we want it to sound a bit like this, and try and get as much detail as you can, but it also then, the affiliate artists have a bit of freedom with working with what you've got, what you've sent over. And yeah, the aim is to get the song as right as possible for the person. Sometimes you might be the best person to do it, sometimes not, and you can refer it on to someone. Arrange for songs to be recorded when completed. Again, sometimes that's, you can record at home. We will hopefully have a Swan Song premise at some point that people can come to record. That's the dream. We also use some other studios around Leeds. So then it might be you arrange a session with the person if they want to come record it themselves, sort that out. It might be just record it at home yourself. It might be, lots of different ways that can happen. And taking part in reflective practices to help us improve our services. So we'll ask people to complete a little session log afterwards, about how the session went, things that can be improved, etc. And that's more for helping us to improve rather than like us keeping an eye on you and making sure that, so that's again, it's going back to being authentic and being honest in that of like, if something was hard, then we'd like to know about it rather than, being like, everything's great, I'm completely comfortable. Just, and help us keep improving what we do. Next slide, please, Elliot. Affiliate artists, as I just mentioned, they assist with composing the music for lyrics and briefs written by the core facilitators and the participants. They have no direct contact with our beneficiaries. So I guess if you'd be nervous about the intensity of working with people, this role's a bit, it's still, people who do it have said it is still quite emotionally intense because like you still feel like you get to know the person quite well. And obviously the content is generally quite emotionally heavy, but you don't get to know the person personally. That's something I probably should have said about the core facilitator role, as it can be very emotionally straining because you form a close contact with connection with someone who's then most likely going to die. And I don't think that's it. This role doesn't have that contact. This one is also a bit more flexible. So all the work at the minute is going to be freelance. We're looking to employ freelancers, and we can't guarantee there'll be this amount of work a week or anything like that. We're aiming to split the workload as it comes, and again, send in songs to the people who are best suited to work on them. But the affiliate artists, it's completely in your own time. So again, what we do is we normally ask for something back within a week, but sometimes that's flexible as well. And then it's just you in your own time, come up with some ideas. Yeah, we're always available to chat through some things. Again, hopefully one day we'll have a studio where affiliate artists can come in and work on songs, have a little team working together. So yeah, they're utilised as needed to suit the requests of participants, and yeah, must submit a recording when complete within agreed upon time frame. So again, it goes back to like, and we always say to people like, this is the song we're looking at. If we need it by a certain time, it's like, will you be able to do something? And what happens there is like, it's, you know, come up with an idea for it, send it in, and then we'll talk about it with the participant. And sometimes it's like, oh, could we change this bit here or change this bit here? And sometimes it's like recording. What happens a lot nowadays is we have two versions. So one, what the affiliate artists will sing themselves. And then sometimes have to submit just a backing track as well. If the participant's going to sing it, then we can record it to that. Next one, please, Elliot. And other group facilitators. So this is something what was kind of a bit new to us, but we're always keen to ask musicians what they like to do and what things they might like to do. Again, as being a creative organisation, as we said in our values, we're always looking to try new things. We have an online singing group that we started in the lockdown a year and a half ago, which goes amazingly well. We have people from all around the world come to it. And we also started hosting these music and memories sessions where people come and just share a song that holds memories for them, and the group listen to it together. And we share stories, and they've been really beautiful so far. We're open to ideas of other group activities. So if you're in a particular type of group or interested in a particular type of group, we'd like to hear from you. If it might be something that, you know, might work as part of what Swan Song offers, we're always looking to expand those things. And then we can look at how we might fund that and things like that. So we're aiming to have lots of different things to offer. Next slide, please, Elliot. So yeah, what we're looking for a diverse group of songwriters, diverse in many different ways. So again, like obviously musical diversity is a big part of what we do, but also in terms of, you know, the other factors, because we want to reach as many different communities as possible. So we want people, and we want to, again, like pair people up, I guess, in whatever way they feel most comfortable. If someone's going to feel more comfortable with someone who's a similar age to them or similar gender or a similar background, if we've got people on the team and say, oh, well, we can work with so-and-so who might be best suited for you there. Songwriters are expected to be competent and confident in songwriting, lyric writing especially. Say for the core songwriting, a lot of that tends to be lyric writing. And again, like I said, we're not prescribing that you have to write lyrics first, but working with people who haven't done it before, I think a lot of people can connect to lyrics. You know, obviously they use words. They might not use chords and stuff in their usual life. So yeah, being particularly kind of competent with lyric writing and singing in different styles. You don't have to be an amazing singer, because I'm certainly not, but like kind of competent enough to feel like you can sing in front of people in a session and suggest melody ideas and stuff like that. People who fit with our values, people who have excellent people skills and a caring nature, and ideally some co-writing or community songwriting experience is preferable, but not essential. But yeah, I guess just some kind of experience of having written with other people and aware of how some of those dynamics work would be useful. Next slide, please, Elliot. Support. So yeah, as we mentioned, the work with the Swan Song Project can be very emotionally challenging. So we're committed to supporting everyone who works with us. We've just become a mindful employer, thanks to Geraldine. And we're very committed to supporting everyone who works with us. So we're developing how these support plans will look at the moment. They're going to involve regular one-to-one supervision, some form of peer support, and access to various therapies when required. Yeah, so it's also one of the things where like we're working out how much work we would give people at a time, because we don't want to overload anybody, which is definitely what happened to me in the early days when I was doing too many songs. So yeah, we're keen to just make sure everyone who works for us is supported, because it is challenging at times. Next slide, please, Elliot. There we go. Does anyone have any questions? That's good, did it? Got through it. If anyone has any questions, we'll do questions. If anyone has any questions in the room first, and then if anyone's got any questions at home, you can put them on the YouTube stuff, and we'll get to them ones as well. So does anyone have any questions for us? Oh, before we do any questions, actually, do either of you have anything you'd like to add? Anything that I missed in there? That wasn't Geraldine's fault, that was my fault. I wrote that. Chris is skiving tonight. I did think he would be here. He's very keen to be involved with it. So Chris is a trustee of Swan Song, and he's generally very keen to be involved in this, but he's probably working with kids on bikes. Tends to be what he's doing. Any other questions for anyone? Yeah, that's a really good question. I'll just repeat it for people who are listening at home. The question was, if people have written lyrics that you're struggling to put to a melody, how much input you have on that, or how much you just stick with their lyrics. Is that right? Yeah. So it varies case by case. So again, it's like when you're writing with them, you'll try and structure them in a way that is likely to scan well. But sometimes they don't, and so it's a conversation then. Like, I guess when I said about the co-writing, it's like you are there to offer advice in a way, but it's always as a suggestion. So when that happens, sometimes people will say something, and I'll say like, okay, that's a nice line. It might struggle to fit melodically, but if it's really important to you that it's said that way, because sometimes it's like it's exactly the way their mum would say something, so it's important. It's like that. Then it's like, okay, we'll work around it. And so I guess it's making them aware of the choice. And like, so you can say then, so that it might stand out a bit in the melody compared to the rest of it. But if that's what you want to say, that's completely fine as well. And sometimes you can make suggestions of like, if you wanted to, we could reframe it this way, which might scan a bit better, but does that still say what you want to say? So again, it's a negotiation all the time, if that makes sense. Yeah. So again, it's always like, and when we work with the affiliate artists, that's one of the things that, so they have a bit of license to tweak things. So I'll always make the participant know. We'll send it on to them, and they'll work on it. And if you want anything to be exact, let me know now. And if not, there might be some slight changes, but we'll always try and keep the sentiment as much as we can. And sometimes it's like we'll come back and say, oh, we changed this line to this because it rhymed better or it flowed better. Is that all right? And most of the time it's fine, but sometimes we might say, actually, no, that just doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't say what I want it to say. So it's kind of giving them choices, but yeah, ultimately it's their decision. And that's one of the things I always say as well, like, it doesn't matter if you like the song or not. So sometimes. Yeah, definitely. What I said there was just the aim is to produce a song what they're happy with rather than what anyone else is happy with necessarily. And that's exactly it. So, and sometimes it's like people put things in and they're like, oh, no one's going to know what that means. And it's like, it doesn't really matter. if your family know what that means, that's all that's important a lot of the time. You don't have to worry. We're not trying to write a big hit. We're just trying to write a song that's meaningful to the people that you want it to be meaningful for. So, cool. Yeah. How many people are you writing with at the moment? About 4 or 5, I think, at the moment. It varies. It always goes in waves. Something like that. So it goes in waves a lot, where there's tends to be times where it gets really busy and then it gets really quiet again. Well, that's how it was when it was just me. Now we've got Geraldine has started, Geraldine's role is partnerships and engagement. So she's networking with all the organisations and making sure people know about it and how to access it. So again, we're expecting the number of referrals to go up, which is why we need to bring in more songwriters. We don't really have like clear tags at the moment of how many we want to be working with at a time. But we think to begin with, we probably would give our new songwriters 1 song at a time, maybe 2, depending on how they're getting on. Because again, the risk is just, when I first started, I was just doing loads. And like, there was 1 week where 3 people that I'd worked with really closely all died, like back to back. And it was just rough. So we want to kind of like ease people in as much as we can and give that support. Yeah, you're welcome. One next, Jen. So Jen's question, I'll repeat if people at home, was access to recording equipment. So if you don't have access to your own recording equipment, what are the options there, and if that's a barrier for people doing it? I'd say not really. When I first started, I had a basic dictaphone that I would take with me into the hospice, and I'd just sit it in the room. I'm happy to say we've improved things since then. But what we would do, I guess, in that case, I guess is just options. So like now we tend to use a local studio down in Holbeck, tends to be where I go to record with people. Yeah, I guess there's different options what we could do of like either utilising local recording studios, potentially providing equipment ourselves. Eventually at some point Swan Song will hope to have its own equipment that we could hire out to people. There's lots of different options of how we might progress things like that. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was a rule out at the minute. It should be something we'd have to work around. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'm going to repeat it for people at home. Man said some really nice things about Swan Songs, so thank you. But then the question was if we complete every song and if songs stop during the process at any point, and some of the reasons why. So yes, not all songs get finished. We do have a pretty high, I wouldn't be able to say exactly, but we do a pretty good success rate. Sometimes, obviously, people die during the process. One just happened last week. Someone I just started a song with. Then there was, found out he died a few days later. What was really sad. So that obviously happens. Sometimes people choose to stop. Again, that's quite rare. But sometimes, like, other things come up in people's lives. Or one of the issues we have at times is like when we work, particularly when we work in a day hospice environment. Patients tend to be given like a 6-week or 12-week or whatever term where they get to go. So we've got one at the minute. Actually, I'm working with someone at one of the hospices who's next week's her last week there. So then we're kind of looking at options of how we might carry on her song if we've not finished it by then. So we will look at options there, but we've had some in the past where then people have stopped coming and then we've not been able to get hold of them again and they've just discontinued. So yeah, occasionally people do just drop off, but we do have a pretty good success rate. And I guess that feeds into one of the things that we try and do is, I always think of it as like giving just enough of a push. So like, you want to give them enough of a push to keep the song going, but you're not rushing it either. But some people need a bit more of a push than others. So we had one a few weeks ago, someone got in touch whose grandma had just died, and she said, I'd really love to do a song for the funeral. The funeral's in 2 weeks. Can we do that? So we've had a few where they've come in like that, where it's like the deadline, can we do a song by then? And I always say, I can't promise it, but I can say we'll try, we'll do our best. And both 2 recent ones of them anyway, we've done them in time, but then I've pushed a bit more than I would doing someone else's songs. I've made more suggestions than I might do. In a normal session, I might, sometimes like you get an idea and you're like, look, you don't want to throw all your ideas in, but when you rush, sometimes it's like, so these are some things you could do. You could do this, you could do this, you could do this. Whereas in a less time-sensitive one, I might give them more space to, if that makes sense. Does that answer the question? Cool, thank you. Any other questions here? Oh. We've not really decided yet what we call it. It's like sometimes it's clients, sometimes it's participants, sometimes it's co-writers. But yeah. So Al's question was, how do you get people to start writing words, really, and how do you get that? Yeah, pretty much. So again, so sometimes you'll come in and people will have been thinking about it a lot, and they've come in and they know exactly what they want to. It's very rare anyone comes. I've had some where they've come in and they've basically written the song already. They've written a lot of stuff down, and sometimes then it's like you might have to make a few suggestions of like, oh, we could tidy this up here. But a lot of time people come in and they've got some idea, like, I want to write a song for my kids, and I want to tell them this, and I want to tell them this, and I want to tell them this. And then your job is then like, right, well, tell me a bit more about that, and I guess making suggestions of what song structure would work. So that's where I guess the knowledge of lots of different types of songs is really useful. And sometimes, it's mainly about getting people talking and then taking a lot of notes. And then reviewing the notes and being like, right, so we talked about this. That might make a nice bit for a verse here, or this might make a nice thing here. It's also spotting, lyrical phrases. So a lot of time people might say something, and they might not realise that that's a really nice line, that'd make a really nice chorus. And so that's part of your job, is reflecting back to them what they've said and how that would work in a song. It's also, so there's, again, that's some of the stuff we'll talk about in the training a bit more, of like some of those specific techniques, but it is mainly getting people talking and then feeding back suggestions from there. Also talking about music, obviously everyone loves talking about music, so it's always nice to get an idea of what music they like, talk about a few songs. Sometimes we'll listen to a few songs together, and then they're quite good references, because then like if we're talking about something, you say, oh, well, like Dylan did in this song, we could do something similar here with your song, and then he had a verse about this, so we'd have a verse about this, and the chorus there is like that. So that's quite a useful way of doing it, because people always, who don't write songs, are like, oh, so we could write a song like Dylan. It's like, yeah, you could use the same structure that Dylan used. Might be a bit different, but to answer the question. So yeah, I think like that's the kind of, we'll go into a bit more detail, but it's mainly getting people talking and helping them find those ideas and structure them. Anything else? How many people are looking to recruit? So we're looking to have a team of 5 songwriters, ideally, to do in the core stuff. And we don't really have a limit on the affiliates. We kind of like, in an ideal world, it's like we could have a huge library of affiliate artists and be really specific then with who's exactly right for each song. But I guess we want people to feel happy about being a part of it as well. So we don't want to have loads of people on there who never get contacted. Like, we want people to, if they're going to be a part of it. So yeah, ideally 5 of the core songwriters, and yeah, we'll just kind of probably just keep expanding the affiliates as long as people come in and we can give them work. We're aiming to have, one of the things that we mentioned in the support thing briefly, is we're hoping to have like a peer support thing, so like have a songwriters group that meets maybe once a month, something like that. And the aim is that we want to be like, I say, we can't always guarantee there's going to be this amount of work each month, but we want everyone who's a part of it to feel like, be happy to be a part of it, even if there's not a lot of work. So like whether we have these peer support groups, or we have like workshops and things that we can offer to people, so like people feel like they're a team and they're part of something, even if there's not always a lot of work. But hopefully there will be a lot of work as well for people. And any questions from the YouTube, Elliot?
Yep, we have a couple. Just give us 1 second. So we have James here saying, is there a playlist of these songs you produce in a place to listen to them? Perhaps buy MP3s as a donation for Swan Song charity?
Yep, so if you go to the Swan Song Project website, there's a tab at the top that says Swan Songs, and there's quite a lot of songs on there now. Nearly 50 songs on there at the moment. So again, when the songs are finished, we give people the option, if they want the song on the website, we'll put it there for them. And we're aiming to kind of, the idea is that that page is their page, so if people want pictures on it and things like that, we always put the song and the lyrics up, but people can put pictures and things up as well. So yeah, they're all there, but if people want to keep the song private as well, it's completely fine. Again, we see the value in that if people want to just play it for a few people. We have looked about a few different things we might do, in terms of sharing the songs more widely. But yeah, at the minute we've not done like any playlists on other like Spotify or anything yet, but we might do at some point. But at the minute they're all on the website.
Cool. Right, we've got a second one as well from Shelley saying, as a core songwriting facilitator, would it be possible to also act as an affiliate artist as well for anyone who might need help? For example, if you feel like you could help artistically. The reason I ask is as I work as a community facilitator currently in some of my roles, but also work as a session vocalist.
Yeah, it's a good question. And yep, so we're going to send out a expression of interest form for anyone who's interested, and there's which role would you be most interested in, affiliate artist, songwriter, or both. And yep, so people can cross over both of them. So I guess it's crossover one way that the core songwriters can act as affiliates for other songwriters, but the affiliates wouldn't start doing sessions with someone without doing some training and stuff first. But I guess affiliates have sometimes accompanied. I've done that. Well, that's the first one I mentioned, especially when Jess came in and sang. We've done that before, where I've been doing a session with someone, then the affiliates come into the recording session to help out with that. So yeah, there can be some crossover there.
That's it for the YouTube comments.
That's it for the YouTube comments. Cool. I think that's about it then. So thanks for coming, everyone.
Are you encouraging them to do this deliberate thing? No, most of the time it's encouraging them to deliver.
Yeah. So the question there was, are we encouraging them? So yeah, the aim is always, I always encourage people to do it, because like I always say to people as well, like it's not we're not aiming to rival Adele or do anything. Like it's about their voice. So I always encourage them to, but some people, I'm sure you've met lots of people who are like, I'm not singing, no chance I'm singing. So we always encourage people we offer to support them and to help them as much as possible with it. Again, that's a way sometimes you can bring affiliates in. So Jess, I mentioned then, who did the other song with us, she's a vocal teacher as well. So sometimes in the past we had someone who wanted to sing a song but was nervous about it. I got Jess to come and help as like a bit of a singing lesson on it. So we can do things like that. We can also offer, sometimes people just will speak on a song, which has been really nice, where one of us will sing the whole thing and there'll be a spoken section. Sometimes we've done multiple versions, where there's the version that goes on the website, is with one of us singing it, and then there's another version that only one or two people hear, which is with them singing it. So again, I always encourage people to record their voice in some way, but obviously we're not going to just stick a microphone in the face and to shower them or anything. Cool. Yeah, one more. Yeah. We've not fully decided yet. The affiliate artists currently get £100 per song, and we're working out, so it'll probably be an hourly rate for the songwriters. We've not fully decided yet, but it'll be at least £30 an hour, I'd say. We're working out like exactly how much, in terms of, just a few of the things. And we probably will have a scale, I imagine, where it's like, to start with it's this, then as people get more experienced, it'll go up, hopefully. But again, funding depending. It's, right. Yeah, it varies a lot. So the National Lottery are big funders of ours. I get that question if anyone at home was where do we get our funding from? The National Lottery have funded us a lot. Sovereign Healthcare in Bradford have funded us a couple of times. We've currently got some funding from the Postcode Neighbourhood Trust. We do well with public donation as well. A lot of people very generously support us. People organise fundraisers for us. Chris Evans donated £25,000 the other year, which was quite something. But we don't have any long-term sustainable funding at the moment, so it's one of the things that we are working on. Me and Fran have a meeting tomorrow to discuss the budget, don't we? So at the minute, it's like we have got enough money to recruit and train, and we will pay for the training as well. That's another thing I should have mentioned. I've done things in the past when I was a freelancer where you got asked to go and do a load of training that you didn't get paid for, then you didn't get any work at the end of it, and it was like, oh. So we'll pay our songwriters for the training as well. We've got some funding for that, but we are constantly on the lookout for more longer-term funding. But we've got lots of exciting things in the pipeline, so I'm feeling confident about it. Cool, is that everything? Well, thank you all for coming. And I think there's one more slide, Elliot. I think I've got a next steps thing. Yeah, that's it. So I'll email you all, everyone who signed up, and I will put it on the website as well. So this video will be available on the website for anyone who's missed it today and wants to find out about it. But I'll send out, it's only a short form that you can submit and send in. Obviously, send me any questions, anything else. And we look forward to hearing from you. And then we've not decided yet. We wanted to, it was why we did this, because it's the first time we've done this. We had no idea what kind of interest we were going to have. We thought we'll do this, and then we'll see how much interest we get and decide what the next stage is from there. So if you're interested, you have to submit the form. We'll be in touch with the next stages from there. I think that's it. So thank you for coming, and Thanks for tuning in, everyone on YouTube. Millions of people, I'm sure. Yeah, and we'll see you soon.